I'm just trying to get a sense of the hypothesis that people are working to and how we can creatively problem solve in these times. You have many workings and understandings of how people co-work and homework and dealing with those sorts of issues.
I personally think that it's about empowering your managers and having all of the people who are managing teams lead the way. Role modeling what a good meeting looks like. In offices, we sort of stopped using the phone and started using Slack. But if you never see each other in person, I think using the phone or using video is important. Just like this conversation at the beginning before we recorded, we had a personal conversation about what was going on in our lives, and that set us up to have a better conversation when we transitioned to talk about business.
My generation will want to be out of cities, want to be in areas where there's perhaps a higher quality of life, a bit more community structure. This kind of perhaps accelerates all of that.
This could finally be the thing that makes old school leaders look at working remotely in a new light. I think there is a very old school belief that if you're working from home, you're doing everything except actually getting your job done. I think this will be the thing that makes people realize, I can still have a productive team and a productive work environment and high quality products with people working from home. The thing people will also worry about is creativity. Can we be as creative as we want to be when we're separated? Or does that energy come from being in the same room? One of the things we need to start doing is experimenting more with how to get to high flow state creativity in remote settings.
So the bar I go to in New York, every night this week, I've been doing a Zoom drink along in the evenings. Realized that there's a psychological barrier just to get over about sitting around and perhaps things being quiet or silent on a web stream. We're on video conferences all day, and it's very action orientated. As you say, we need to make time for the personal stuff on those, but also in a creative setting, I think we probably need to understand that those web streams might be a little bit like my video conference with the people from the bar last night. It's just unknown whether we fill the space or not.
If you're in a meeting and you notice that people are being quiet, are they being quiet because they don't want to speak up and they don't want to take accountability for something? They don't want to raise their hand and offer an idea that's not accepted? Or are they being quiet because they're thinking and they're processing and they're taking it all in?
On a call we had, I noticed one person wasn't saying anything, and he said, I'm okay, I'm just thinking. And I think that's totally fine.
Some people just don't like talking in groups. Yeah. And in remote settings, we have to make room for them a little bit more intentionally than we would in an office.
Have you got any ideas about how video and interactivity can play a part in this situation?
Everybody has different information, needs, and requirements in order to move forward. We still have rooms full of privileged people making decisions about what information others need. And the thing interactivity does is it puts the choice in the hands of the person who it's going to most impact. And it's no longer about making choices for them on their behalf because we know what's good for them. It's about us making all of these options available and saying to people, we want you to feel empowered to choose.
That's really, really interesting because the concept of editing, which is all about deciding what's important, constructing a story in which you want people to follow. I still believe in great stories need to be told, and that's where interactivity can add that context that can be so vital to understanding complexity around the story.
Like imagine there was an interactive video feature about coronavirus, right? And it was only 5 minutes long or 2 minutes long. People who are in urban versus suburban versus rural settings are going to experience this thing in much different ways. State hospital systems is different, access to food is different, transportation, isolation. If you could then choose your journey through the coronavirus news story based on what actually applies to you, I think you're way more likely to get the information that's most relevant.
Potentially even is something that the media owners and the newscasters would actually want, because the fake news era has actually brought so much question around these news sources. Swapping that round and democratizing that, you say these stories are different for different audiences, which is probably more commercially viable.